General Dwivedi, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. At ANI, we are all very excited to have a serving chief coming in out here and talking to us. But I am going to begin with that sweet country on our northern border called China, जिसने सबके नाक में दम कर रखा है. So I just want to know where are we right now on the boundary situation, disengagement and de-escalation. In your press conferences you say this, and beat reporters like Ajit know the meaning, but for layman in layman terms, what do these two terms mean? Where are we right now on the boundary situation with our wonderful neighbor?
So let me explain the disengagement part as such.
Sir.
So as you are aware, in April 20, that some places we had difference of perception and we had to lead to violent means. So when that happened, there was some kind of a, if I can say that, both sides were in contact with each other. And over a period of time, both sides then decided to get back. So when they get back, then it's called as disengagement. As you are aware, Bangla, Rechenla, that's something which we had done earlier. But some places where we felt there's a requirement kind of resolve that issue further. So on 21st October 2024, we signed those documents or agreements, and thereafter, wherever such issues were still pending, we could resolve that. Now what happens once you have done that? What is the next stage? Next stage, like I keep saying, that both sides, in their own side, that is China side and India side, what you have done, you have constructed billeting, you have constructed few roads over a period of time. So what happens, the capability to bring the troops forward changes vis-a-vis what it was earlier. So if that be the case, what you do? You define the new definition that how do we go about ahead of as far as this is concerned. Though the patrolling and grazing rights and others issues have been resolved, there is a need to harmonize this. And that's when the military side, you have seen that from the battalion commander till corps commander level, we have allowed people to talk to each other so that wherever there is some kind of a doubt, we can raise the level and resolve it. But all this is dependent on the SR meeting which took place under NSA, and the empowerment has been given to WMCC. This mechanism is basically... Sorry,
sir, to interrupt. SR, Special Representative. We have some, expats also watching it. Yes. So SR means
Special Representative. Right. This had earlier taken place in 2019-20. Right. After that, it was put on hold. So this is the first time on 18 December this meeting took place, where some kind of a directions have been given out how to go about resolving this. Then the WMCC, that is headed by the Joint Secretary of the MEA, under which one of the reps of the military is also there. So then both sides sit together and provide us the strategic guidance. So as and when they provide us the strategic guidance, based on that we'll move ahead. But meanwhile, what I have done, I have empowered all the corps commanders along the line of actual control to make sure that whatever issues can be resolved at their level where there is a misinterpretation of understanding and which can escalate to a violence, that should be something. So we had, what are we looking at? That is there a requirement for us to look into that do we need to reduce the troops? Do we need to kind of have more confidence building measures? So all this will only take place once we come to a common point. Okay, from here we will start, and these are the steps which will follow. Right. So once the steps are decided how to go about it, we'll move ahead.
Sir, recently on the China issue, leader of opposition, opposition leader Rahul Gandhi made a statement that Chief of Army Staff has already said that there was incursion in Ladakh sector, and which was later do you want to say something on that why a serving chief is being misquoted or being dragged into a political thing?
This being a political question, I think the political answer has been given by Raksha Mantri ji in form of Twitter and MOD details description which has been given out. But two things which I learned from that first thing, it is important that I must make an endeavor that army should not be involved in the politics.
A month ago, you held a press conference and you said about the situation on the boundary, and I quote, has the terrain been doctored over a period of time? Yes. Both sides have doctored the terrain. Have both sides carried out constructions? Yes. Both sides have carried out some stocking and deployment? Yes. Therefore, what it means is that there is a degree of standoff. Could you explain to us what does doctored terrain mean? And when you say there is stocking and there is deployment, does that connote that there is an aggression from the other side, hence we are stalking, or they are doing stalking? What is happening? Like, if you can just explain these two terms.
So if you see, if you take your mind back to, let's say, 2007, 2009, even 2001, earlier the ITBP used to control this area. The Indian Army was negligible. Over a period of time, we moved ahead. Similarly, in case of China also. So over a period of time, they moved ahead. So when you have more concentration of forces, you require billeting for them. You require transportation for them. Therefore, roads and tracks are required. So it is not that we have come to the disputed area where there are some issues. We have basically, wherever we are, we have made ourselves more assertive, comfortable and deployed. If that be the case, so the terrain has to be doctored because you have to make the roads, you have to make the billeting. Since it has been made both the sides, therefore, this is what I wanted to say, that the terrain doctoring has taken place.
And the stockpiling and things, what does that mean?
Yeah, so when you have, let's say, earlier you had 100 troops, now you have 1,000 troops. So you need ration, storage, facility, everything for those 1,000 people. And let's say you say that tomorrow if the situation there's some criticality comes up, then you may have another 20 people or 200 people coming in. So you have to cater for their stay also, their ration also, their fighting capability also. So that is what
the other side is also doing the same thing?
It is both sides.
We have more soldiers on the border as boundary as compared to the earlier situation before 2020, before 2018. Is that more people there that we have?
So what we see that what was there in 2019 and what is there in 2024-25, definitely there has been an increase. And this is what both sides are looking at. Can we lead to decrease in the numbers now?
Both China and Pakistan, they have criticized President Donald Trump's proposal for still at this, an informal proposal of selling F-35 stealth fighters to India during the American president's meeting with Prime Minister Modi in Washington, D.C. last week. And I'm quoting this. The Pakistan foreign minister said that, quote, deeply concerned over the planned transfer of such advanced military technology to India. So far, there's been no planning is what has come out. But the Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said that the Asia-Pacific region was not, and I quote, chessboard for geopolitical maneuvering. Forming exclusive circles and engaging in group politics will not bring security and will only harm regional global peace and stability. There's no formal proposal as yet for the F-35s. We don't even know whether Donald Trump's made an off-the-cuff remark, but Lockheed Martin has got very excited about it, and everybody is talking about this. Everybody also talks about two-front war and buying more equipment and things like that. What is your reaction to this antsy feeling that Pakistan and China are having after PM Modi's trip to the US?
So yesterday Defense Secretary has given out very clearly that this is a proposal and it's got a long ground to cover before we decide for what you're finally going to take. The second issue is when you carry out the force structuring or capability building, you do it based on the threat or you do it based on the capability of your potential adversaries. So if you look at that, you have to build your capabilities based on the capabilities which are existing with your potential adversaries, then you need to cover a long ground. If you have to do that, then any kind of this modernized aircraft which is coming is a most welcome thing. But what kind of aircraft, which one to come, that is something the Air Force, I think, is better positioned to answer.
Right.
Sir, you talked about empowering the corps commanders and the battalion commanders to deal with issues that come up in their respective areas. Now, what does this empowerment mean, sir? And has it started giving any results to you in the recent past? Can you tell us any examples where it has helped, sir?
So if you take your mind back, when I took over as Army Commander, Dozen Command in 2022 Feb, the first thing I asked, okay, who all are talking to each other? It was told only corps commanders will talk to each other, no one below that. So moment you raise a level, you will find the degree of rigidity is much more. The science and art of battlefield tells you that forward troops who are in contact with each other would like to resolve the situation much more vis-a-vis the people who are sitting behind. So what I did, I started delegating this kind of a freedom to the battalion commanders, brigade commanders and others. So let's say a patrol comes and it says, look, you have crossed over my area. They say, no, you crossed over my area. I can resolve this issue at the battalion commander level, or I can take it to the corps commander, and that level then it has to be resolved. So as a result, moment we started resolving this issue at the lower level, the confidence for the two people to talk and resolve these issues increased. Let's say the graziers, at times they inadvertently cross over to the other side. Earlier they used to kind of stop them, hold them. Now they say, okay, please go back. So once you have these kind of situation, the misunderstanding which used to be there has reduced vastly.
And sir, like what you're saying, like earlier if graziers crossed over and their release had to be secured at a very high level, and now it is being done at a local level, and they are doing it on their own.
No, high level has two connotations. It's why Beijing also, if you're talking about, no, that doesn't happen. It means then you have to kind of talk to each other, then it is released. But at least from 202 to what I am been seeing, that the relations are improving day by day, and they just quietly tell them, please go back. And our graziers also abide by that, because they have not gone intentionally. It is just by mistake, because they are not aware which side is what. So then they come back.
So the past week we've seen some activity at the LOC, 3 incidents, Naushera, and there was also Batal sector, and that was on the Pulwama anniversary, and then there was the Punch, the sniper incident. Do you see a pattern which is emerging, and why is Pakistan upping the ante now?
Such kind of events keep taking place. So what is RM at this stage? We have to make sure that in Feb 21, what the DGMO understanding was there, we should be able to maintain that generally. Some kind of friction here and there we should be able to resolve at the level where it is required to be resolved. So like you're aware that we have DGMO talks every Tuesday. So when there's a requirement to raise the level, we talk even at that level.
But 3 incidents in 1 week, it's not a very...
Earlier also it happened.
It happened.
It happens.
Okay.
And that's why you have the flag meeting system.
Okay.
When you go for the flag meeting, you discuss frankly what is there, what not. If it's not getting resolved there, then we raise it to the DGMO level.
Since 2014, what has changed on the LOC? Did the preemptive strikes that happened, did that have an impact on these kind of incidents which are taking the violations, or even cross-border movement? Has it changed at all?
See, if I look at 2014, I'll even go back.
Okay.
Earlier, if you remember, that the control on the line of control was too high from the Indian side. And people from across, when I was a youngster, they used to say, साथी आपका हुक्म तो दिल्ली से आएगा, हम तो यहीं से फायर करते हैं. ठीक है.
This is the Pakistanis telling you.
That used to. That's something which is there. And now over a period of time, we have started delegating these kind of initiatives to the battalion commanders and brigade commanders. That is how you found that the boundary became live, because now they didn't have to come back to Delhi. The delegation was high. Then only we decided in Feb 21 that it was not giving any advantage to both the sides. And then we said, okay, enough is enough. Now what has happened from 2014, if you see, that both sides have generally understood that we mean business. And India has said very clearly that we will be assertive in our communication. And if required, we can be aggressive also. So what you have just spoken about, it was a kind of an indication that, look, if you force us, then we will be aggressive enough to communicate our intent.
So as per Government of India figures, for the first time in 15 years of militancy in Kashmir, the local militant strength has fallen to single digits. Pakistan is relying more on cross-border terrorism, is what the commander there has said, and you also mentioned this. But now we are entering the phase where the snows are going to start melting from next month onwards. Do you see, like every year which we have seen since the 80s and the 90s, a rise in infiltration which will happen?
सबसे पहले तो कश्मीरी से पूछिए कि स्नो कितनी गिरी है. The problem today is this time the snowfall has been really less vis-a-vis what we were expecting. And this will have its own issue on the higher reaches. But what you rightly said, that when the snowfall is there, then the infiltration comes down to the south of Pir Panjal ranges. And as the snow melts, it goes back to the north of Pir Panjal also. But it does not mean the south of Pir Panjal will remain quiet. That will continue the way it is. The second thing what you have said, that the Indian side, the Kashmir side or Jammu Kashmir side, the local terrorist number has reduced. The number of recruitment has also reduced a lot. Why? Because from August 2019, India has very clearly conveyed its intent for the complete J&K, that what is India and what is J&K. And J&K is an integral part of India. And there's no compromise on that. I keep giving the example that one of the lady who was wife of one of the deputy chief minister, she said after August 2019, when my children went to the school, they didn't have a confusion when principal said, beta kal flag draw karke lana Independence Day ka. So didn't know kaun sa flag draw karna hai. But after 5th August 2019, children are very clear that which flag is to be drawn in their copy. So that is the intent which has been conveyed. So once that intent has been conveyed, it means the OGW's number will definitely go down. And the best part is you will find that the intelligencies, the security forces and enforcement agencies, NIA and others, all three have joined hands together to help Awam to come up on its own. And now you have injected the development. Once you've done all these things, definitely there will be a sea change. And that's why we are saying that our theme of terrorism to tourism is actually seeing signs of success today. More than 5 lakhs in Amarnath Yatra, it was never heard of earlier.
Yeah. And also, I think we watch Pakistani media, social media, and some of the podcasts that come out of Pakistan. There is this, all of them keep talking and saying कि हमने इतने साल तो आर्मी हमको कहती रही कि कश्मीर एक दिन हमारा बन जाएगा, कश्मीर, अब देखो उन्होंने तो पूरा इंटीग्रेट किया, हम लोग रह गए. That is what the people are saying on the social media platforms. But do you see that change happening in the mindset of the Pakistani polity, Pakistani Fauj, that military establishment out there, that, you know, will they ever figure out that Kashmir नहीं बनने वाला पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा?
देखिए वो अपनी ही बातों में फंस गए हैं. देवानंद जी की एक मूवी है गाइड, आई थिंक नारायण जी ने लिखी है ये बुक.
आर के नारायण, यस.
आर के नारायण जी ने. उसमें आपको याद हो जब देवानंद जी साधु बन गए थे लास्ट में, एंड वो एक पागल सरफिरा आदमी था, तो उसने जाके अनाउंस कर दिया कि स्वामी जी ने बोला है मैं तब तक अन्न ग्रहण नहीं करूँगा जब तक कि बारिश नहीं होगी. अब पाकिस्तान आर्मी ने एक बार बोला है कि ये हमने करना है. नाउ दे डोंट हैव अ वे आउट ऑफ इट. So they will continue to go for, look, Kashmir hamara hai, ye hai, wo hai. This is point number one. Second thing is, if you read the book Revenge of Geography written by Robert Kaplan, both sides of Indus, can they be one? That you have to see. So, as far as they are concerned, the idea of India is their major criticality. It's not limited to Kashmir only. So to keep Pakistan together, you have to have one common agenda which can keep you together. Is the language same? Are the people same? What is same? Only anti-India stance. So therefore, Kashmir, they will keep hyping up at every point of time.
Right, so can't take your eyes off the ball ever.
Well, in recent times, we have seen that Pakistan Army and ISI officials have visited very sensitive areas near our border, near the chicken snake in Bangladesh. And the administration there seems to be a bit having a bit anti-India stance, even though not at the military level. Is that a cause of concern for you as Army Chief, sir?
So let me put across in a two manner. I had used the word epicenter of terrorism for a particular country. Now that countrymen, if they go to any other place and they happen to be our neighbor, as far as I am concerned, I should be concerned about it. That they should not be able to use that soil to kind of send terrorists to India. That is as far as that is concerned. As far as the second setup is concerned, that how's the administration, my stance is that when we have elected government, then we can say how should be our relationship. But as far as the military relationship is concerned, is very strong. And we are able to exchange notes whenever we want. And that's what we have been doing it.
I want to take you back to Kashmir, sir. Like you were the army commander, sir. पिछले साल में इन लोगों ने एक south of Pir Panjal in the Poonch Rajouri Jammu sector, they tried to infiltrate lot of, it was said they were SSG commandos and they had infiltrated, and then we suffered a lot of casualties, lot of operations were taking place, they were doing a lot of ambush. What was that, sir? Why was it happening? Like, what was their intent? Was it to was there a larger design? Because I'm seeing after a few months, all those incidents, attacks have stopped. Like, why did it happen, sir?
देखिए, कहीं भी इन्वेस्टमेंट जब आएगा वहाँ आएगा जहाँ पे रिस्क फैक्टर कम है. So what started happening that if you see the Poonch Rajouri area, the development was coming in. The Mughal Road was being frequented by the tourists. Even Uyo, and if I can say that the guest rooms etc. were coming up for people to come and visit. If you see, there was an ad also that we will show you line of control also from various places. So suddenly the money started getting invested. People started becoming interested towards that. Same is the case with the Doda Kishtawar. Now, moment you have that, what it shows, that if you shun terrorism, the development will come. Now, that was a major cause of worry. Secondly, what had happened? That you keep kind of readjusting your force level depending on the threat profile. So some forces were adjusted here and there. So there were gaps which was there, and the gaps were exploited. So the police was also less. The int network was also focusing on somewhere else. The military was also comparatively less. So these gaps were exploited. And now if you see, once we have inducted approximately 15,000 troops more, you see the situation is normal. The OGWs have also gone down. And like I told you, the trio of the security forces, the int forces and enforcement agencies, all three have made sure that everything is all right there. And now you see the results, the way it's coming up.
But sir, was it really the Pakistan Army SSG which had entered? Any inputs on that, sir?
See,
because there were a lot of claims that
serving I cannot comment on. But one of the people whom we had neutralized, then we saw his photo and we found that he was in the UN mission as a Pakistani soldier. So he has to be a Pakistani soldier. Serving or not, I cannot comment on.
In your Army Day press conference, you had said that the domestic industry has made very good advancements, and in the field of loitering munitions, in layman terms, it's kamikaze drones. There are apparently some 400 companies making drones and drone components in India. Where is Make in India in the defense sector poised right now? Could you tell us a little bit on that?
So let me take loiter ammunition first. As far as loiter ammunition is concerned, what you rightly said, there's 2-3 kinds. One, it keeps loitering and then comes back to the place from where it started. Or it can be kind of a use against a target. And the second one is kamikaze, what you already said, that it will go, it will not retrievable, it will go and destroy something. As of today, there are 40 companies in India which are making this. And approximately 900 crores, 550 equipment we've already bought as far as loiter equipment is concerned. And now what has happened? See, R&D, when you do it, you want to put that cost also as part of the sale price. But as the number increases, your R&D cost goes down. So then what happens? In approximately 1,200, I'm looking at 900 plus equipment now. And I've already catered for a budget of approximately 4,000 crore to cater for approximately 3,000 again loiter ammunition. So
are these all completely indigenous? Because there are the components factor. I mean, we also saw Rahul Gandhi holding up a drone and talking about it, and then there was a lot of bawal utha ki ye kya hai, why Chinese drones and things. So are the components completely indigenous? Do they need to be completely indigenous? Can we get components from elsewhere also and use it in our drones?
See, India is follower of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Word is one. So what it means, word is one and Atmanirbharta, both have to combine together. Finally, what we want, our desire is to have 100% equipment production in India. But it doesn't mean it has to happen today. It can happen after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So as of now, whatever we can produce, we have. Whatever critical component which are required to be bought from this secured, which are highly assured security, that we are buying. But over a period of time, we are also looking at alternatives to that to be produced in India. So when you say, is it 100% Indian? That is something very difficult for me to comment at this point of time.
You said we are looking at buying loitering munition worth 4,000 crores. Now, what is it? What all capabilities do you want in this loitering munition, sir? And why so much of stress on the kamikaze drones? Like, is it a lesson drawn from the Ukraine, Russia and other wars that are going on? And if so, sir, we saw the Iranians in Russia-Ukraine war
also. The pager crash.
Yeah, they are all using very basic kind of drones with not very high value drones for all these attacks. So are we moving in that direction, sir?
So, why do you require loiter ammunition? Loiter munition is required because it is against anti-personnel, so group of personal enemy, then against the light-skinned vehicles, then against the tank, and then top attack. So
Even tank can be taken down by a drone?
Yeah.
No, it's a loiter ammunition. So a munition which is there, it can be a missile also.
Okay.
Let's say something which is called spike missile today has the capability which is called as lock on after launch. So if there's a, let's say, a hill in between, so you fire from here, it goes across, sees the tank, and thereafter you can say, okay, this is the tank you need to destroy. So that is also a kind of a
drone, yes.
Yeah. So this loiter munition is something, it can be used against a tank straight also, that is head on the side or front, and top attack also. And what you have seen in the Ukraine war, the top attack drones or loiter munitions have been the most successful ones. Now coming on to what you have learned from the Ukraine war. The two things which you have learned is firstly that the duration of war is not within your control.
Yeah.
It is equally to be decided by the enemy and all those who are supporting the enemy in the background. That is point number one. Secondly, adaptation under fire. It means your leadership should be able to adapt to the situation. The technological innovations and indigenization, all these things you should be able to adapt. And the third thing is you should be able to quickly change the doctrine of application or the TTPs, what we say.
But also manpower, right? Ukraine in the initial couple of weeks had that issue with manpower. They didn't have enough standing army. So that is also something that we have to look at.
The third thing, what you rightly said, is the citizen warrior, where every citizen becomes a warrior, because the war is not fought by the military alone. It is fought by the nation. So when the nation fights, everybody plays an important role. Space warrior, cyber warrior, info warrior, all these people are already in the background. They are not in front.
Okay. So my question naturally will be about this integrated battle groups that we are talking about.
And sir, sorry to interrupt, ma'am. On this, sir, you said we need more numbers. What I can understand is in terms of fighting force which is ready. So in this context, you think the Agniveer scheme will help us meet the numbers in case of a future war? There are trained people, trained citizens ready to fight for you when you need them?
So let's see, earlier there used to be a system of reservist.
Yes, sir.
Over a period of time we realized reservist is not working that much. Now Agniveer is what? You train for 4 years, thereafter you are available. And the way we are seeing that the Home Minister ji himself has said that I'll be absorbing a large number of these Agniveers, even the state police forces and others have also
paramilitaries
said. So when you look at the whole of nation, what is the strength? It's 12 lakh army, you have the Air Force, you have the Navy, and you got the CAPFs. So as far as the force number is concerned, we have got adequate. And this Agniveer will be an add-on. Now Agniveer, what advantage does it give you? That is this technologically more aware, more adaptable. That is the advantage which you have. And the one which you find is better, you keep it. Rest all go back into the mainstream and they become responsible citizens of India. But they are available to you at any point of time.
But you also need an agile fighting force. And these boys and girls who are coming out into Agniveer, and then when you form these integrated battle groups, I'm presuming they are young lads, young girls who will be there and trained to take on these hybrid wars which are going to be the future wars. Right? Am I?
Yes, you're correct. I'll take you just back that what is the generations of warfare. There are 5 generations of warfare, starting from trench warfare. Then we had the machine guns and artillery. Then we have the maneuver warfare, the tanks and others came in. Thereafter, what you rightly said, use the word hybrid warfare, the non-state actors came in. And the 5th generation is artificial intelligence, quantum, cyber, space. So as you find that in the last stage, that's the 5th stage which is there, this young generation will play a very important role. But the point to note is that in Indian conditions, I have to cater for all the 5 generations of warfare. The trench warfare is not going away. The machine guns and artillery is not going away. So I have to cater for this also. I have to cater for this also. So I have to have a healthy mix of all the experienced soldiers who can fight first, second, third, fourth generations of warfare, and also have to young generation which should be able to cater for the fifth generation of warfare.
Okay, so for those who think that ab ye aa gaya hai, ye nahi hai, you're saying it's going to be all through. I have this quote which from Raksha Mantri, I was just reading about this, and I'm quoting from what he said recently. He said many unconventional methods like information warfare, AI-based warfare, which you just said, proxy warfare, electromagnetic warfare, space warfare, cyber attacks are now posing a challenge to us. The dominance of different countries in the availability of electronic chips is also a problem. Monopoly on rare earth materials also indicates a big challenge. Hybrid warfare and grey zone warfare are adding to our challenges. So if you can break this down for me, how are the electronic chips a problem? What is grey zone warfare? These two things.
Okay, so firstly let me explain what is grey zone. As far as the grey zone is concerned, simplest term if I can put it, that anything which is non-conventional in nature, non-kinetic in nature. Are we fighting the grey zone battle today? Yes. If the power, let's say the power production house, there is a blank and the light goes out. If there's a train transit system, if that stops, if something happens, is it part of the grey zone? Answer is yes.
Okay.
So the grey zone is something which is going in all these fields which you have already said.
Okay.
Including what we are talking about, what is happening in J&K. Is it part of the grey zone? Again, it's part of the grey zone. So grey zone is something which will remain where it is non-attributable most of the time. Mm-hmm. Now coming on to the chip which is there or the rare earth material. This is something which is, I think the whole world should have taken a note of. That do we want anybody to have a monopoly? If it's a monopoly, what will happen? That the denial for others will take place. And denial of facilities and services for others will create a problem for their fighting capability. And that is why we are now trying to make sure that we should be Atmanirbhar in these things also.
Right.
And as far as the mineral rare earth material is also concerned, it's available all over the world. So it's high time that the like-minded people should get together and approach those countries that look, we need to carry out trading in this aspect also.
Right.
You have been supporting the indigenous industry a lot. I've seen you driving the new quick reaction fighting vehicles in Leh, sir.
This is what happens, sir, when Ajit is there, because beat reporter hai, he knows, he's seen more than me. So that's why he has a leg up on me.
Yeah, I remember he was there that day.
Yeah. So I've seen you driving that. I've seen you moving around, trying new rifles and all those things, sir. But when we talk about indigenous industry, sir, the basic assault rifle that our troops use is now the 6-SOR, which is American. And in future they'll be using, and now they've already started using the AK-203 in large numbers, which is a Russian joint ventures. So, sir, like as a common citizen of the country, how do I put faith in my domestic industry in the defense sector when they can't even produce a basic assault rifle, sir?
So you have faith in ISRO?
Yes, sir.
You have? Why? Because ISRO was encouraged to carry out those things much before others were told. Nuclear power plant, you have faith in that? Because this was again started much earlier. Therefore, now coming on to this small arms. Earlier, the license was not there for small arms production. So when the license is not there, how the R&D will start? Today, all the private manufacturers are saying, had you given me a lead time of 10 years, I would have been exporting this equipment to all over. Finally, 2017, the small arms production for the private parties was given. And from 2017 and 2025, you see what has happened. We have been able to produce a lot. But as far as the trials, thereafter acceptance and making it as per the requirement of Indian Army, everything takes time because it's an evolving process. Now to catch up on that time, what we need limited amount for our fighting forces because of the tensions which are prevailing along both the borders. You agree with me on that issue?
Sir.
Now, what is the balance requirement? There is a CAPF, which is 5 to 6 lakh. You need weapons for that. You rightly identified AK-203, approximately 6 to 7 lakhs would be required. Let's say we require a great number of the light machine guns. Carbines, which you require about 4 to 5 lakhs. So the market is huge. And this market is going to be coming, or the purchase is going to come from India only. So all these weapons are going to get flooded over a period of time, even sniper rifle. So when somebody says that, look, my weapon is ready. Yes, if your weapon is ready, there are procedures. And the procedures are falling in place. Today, when I say that the Indian industry is ready, and by 2027, these weapons will start getting inducted into the Indian Army.
Are they comparable to the foreign counterparts? Because we have been buying so far. Are they comparable to the foreign counterparts in the manufacturing sector?
As far as the small arms are concerned, we are only taking when they are comparable or much better.
Okay.
That is what we are looking at. But if you look at, if we need to give impetus to Atmanirbharta or Make in India, so we have to see that it has to be a spiral development. So let's say even if equipment may not be of that superior quality, but if it's a shade below also, but if it meets my requirement for the time being as a Mark 1, I should take it. Then I move for Mark 2. But as the small arms concerned, the individual equipment is concerned, that is the top notch.
Okay. Sir, in this field of indigenization, we have seen a lot of companies like Tata's, Kalyanis, they're making these quick reaction fighting vehicles, infantry combat vehicles. So I've also seen them operating in the Ladakh sector, sir. Are they comparable to the BMPs that are already in the force, sir? And we are now talking to the US for the strikers. So what are we looking in that equipment, sir?
Okay. So there are two kinds of protected equipment, what you say. One is which only provides you protection, but it does not have any integrated platform for you to fight the battle while sitting in that equipment. So the equipment is basically like a carrier. The other equipment, it has a platform, it has a visibility factor, it has firepower, it has a protection, and it can support integrated battle with other, if I can say that, class vehicles which are there, tanks and BMPs. So there is a difference between the two. Is the Indian market ready to it? It's evolving. If the other country is ready to come up and carry out any kind of a collaboration with these production houses, we are getting technology in a much faster time frame. That is what we are looking at.
So when you talk about the strikers, sir?
Any vehicle for that matter.
Okay.
Striker is one of the options. Anything which is coming with an integrated platform, integrated system, fire control system, if I can say that the visualization system, the firepower system, then definitely both the parties can sit together and give me a platform which is indigenized and meeting the requirement of India.
So robotic technology, we are seeing it in the medical space. We are even seeing it in civilian use, in malls and all that. We are seeing robots going. We've seen countries use it, and even in some cases in our country for demining. Will we see more of that kind of technology in the war front, on the ground?
You take the example of drone. Drone we are looking at for even deploying the mines and even for identifying the mined area for the demining purposes also.
Okay.
So what it means that everywhere, wherever we can use the technology, we must use. But we have to be slightly cautious also on this issue. Because if you see the Minority Report 2002 of Tom Cruise, when the psychologists who were there, or they could tell the future, they could also tell you the alternate future. So you didn't know that what is correct, what is wrong till the time Tom Cruise realizes, look, I am also going to be punished because this is alternate future which is talking about.
Yeah.
You also take the example of iRobo Will Smith, where they realize that the robots are the ones which are actually enemy though somebody else is controlling. So moment you have this in the battlefield, these robots may be sent by me, but if somebody is able to kind of control them, then they may turn back and start firing at me also. So what it means that all this technology which is there, it enhances the efficiency in the battlefield of the human being.
Yeah, okay, that's a point. I didn't realize that, it's not just celluloid, it can even happen in real life. I was just thinking, for example, if you need to clear an area or you need to check whether Naxals have planted before our troops go there, or whether this road is fine or not before troop movement happens. If you use robotic technology to say, ये इस area में mines नहीं लगाए हैं, या इस area में ambush नहीं है, if you use drones and things like that, that will help, right?
That we are already doing that.
Okay.
That's why if you find that now when we find some unexploded device, we send a kind of a mini computer which goes there, lifts it up, takes to a different place, and even destroys it also.
Okay, but what you are saying is that human intervention will always be necessary.
I think it will be necessary in the present circumstances. And as we evolve over a period of time, it's something like earlier when you used to switch on the TV, people used to say, why can't you press the button?
Yeah.
So means people used to say, why do you need remote? You're so lazy. So things are changing over a period of time.
Yeah.
So once we evolve, it may so happen that I may give the command, okay, road stretch 3 kilometers, please carry out, I will come after half an hour. It's possible.
Yeah, so that we don't have an incident ever again, like the Pulwama incident, which are no ambushes, because I want to see a generation of Indians who don't see that kind of casualty figures, which is happening in our soil.
And that is where the role of Indian Army is, to protect the citizens of the country from all this.
I want to ask you, like you're talking about technology, robotics, AI. You have had a long tenure in the Indian Army, sir. You have served at the Jammu and Kashmir region also earlier. Can you tell us, sir, from your past experiences, like how it was in those days without technology, and now with technology, drones and all these things coming in, how life has changed, or how a particular thing which was done X way is now being done in a much better way with the induction of new tech into the forces, sir?
I'll put it in 3 forms. Visualization of the battlefield. Now it's much, much better. Now you are mini Sanjay of Mahabharata. You can visualize the battle. You can see the battle. You have drones which is there. Now people are giving you real-time video. Look, this is what is happening. So you can give the instructions also. Let's say you want a terrorist to surrender. So what happens? Now you make him talk to his father. So you can put a screen also, TV, and his father is talking from there. Bete, please surrender kar do. Earlier, you had to get him there, and वो आएगा 2 घंटे लगेंगे, तब तक वो पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है. Similarly, let's say any decision which has to be taken, it can be taken in best form or fastest. Convergence, if you want troops to move from one place to another, it is much better. IFF, friend or foe. Fratricide which used to take place, we don't know who is on the other side. But now, immediately we say, okay, so and so, okay, point taken. Because there is a third party also watching both the sides. So these are some advantages which is taking place. Medical evacuation, the technology which is there, that you can take care of patient there only, there and then. So in all fields, if you see that, so force visualization, force protection or application of force. We know, like drone we are talking about. Now I know, I go on top of that house and I say, okay, release the bomb. It's the easier thing to do.
Now you can be very pinpoint in your targeting.
Yeah, precision.
And you know exactly how many people are hiding inside a building.
Yes, and force preservation also. We know that, okay, fire is coming from where. Once we know, then we accordingly can take
and you can get to know whether there's a hostage situation or not, or whether they're faking a hostage situation.
That is also possible at times, because if you're listening to the communication, then normally you get to know.
You watch a lot of series and you have seen a lot of movies. You must have seen this Fauda series, Israeli, sir. Now, the way they show, they do counter-terrorist operations in their part of the world. Do we do something similar or better in our affected areas?
Yeah, you're going to get a response.
See, as far as Sauda is concerned, it is one of the most hit serials, if I can say that. I have it on my mobile, but I have not been able to watch it, very frankly.
Okay.
But let me tell you, all my relatives and everybody's watched it and says a lot. But I'll take your mind to, by way of deception, again written by a retired Mossad guy. Whatever is in the visible domain, it's in the visible domain. Whatever is invisible, that will remain invisible. I can only say that. So
in Aero India 2025, you said that we are already using artificial intelligence in the army. Some of the examples you gave out here. Could you tell us to what extent is it? Like, is it only for warfare or detection, or is it going to be further beyond that? How are we using it?
See, the first thing which we did was chatbot Sambandh.
Okay.
It was for the veterans.
Huh.
So what we did, like the way of chatbot, and we started this system on WhatsApp. Now, moment you type, the questions will come, answers will come, and you interactive. And once you interactive, based on the generative AI, it is getting populated with more kind of ideas and answers. So that is the first time we used it. As far as AI is concerned, I keep saying that data is very, very important. And first thing what we are doing is the data is lying in various corners, various headquarters. So we are integrating those data. Even if you're not able to integrate, they should be able to talk to each other. We have reached that stage. Today, I can go in for the predictive analysis.
Okay.
Now, predictive analysis also, if you see, is not new. In the Iraq war, America was already using it. And based on that, they could say, okay, ID could be a display, this could be display.
But फिर भी WMT तो मिला नहीं उन्हें.
So, see, that's a different thing altogether. And if you see,
If they
it
were
worked for
using
me.
it at that time.
No, it worked for me. Colin Powell has conceded.
Huh.
Colin Powell has conceded what he should have said and what he said.
Huh.
So we'll leave it at that. Means people
That
have realized.
slam dunk didn't really work, right?
That's a chapter in itself.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the info operations. And,
Right.
At that time, what people thought correct, they did that.
Yeah.
But coming on to this predictive analysis is something which is important to us immediately. Generative AI, I have already told you. So now what we are looking at, that how do we go for the DeepSeek which is there, or let's say the chatbot, that kind of a system for the operational situation also.
Okay.
So what we are looking at, CIDSS is the term we call it. That is Command Distance Support System. And probably by this year end we should be able to start working on toward that along with the BEL, where this AI will come up, that which will tell us, okay, these are the situation, these are likely 5 courses which you have. And based on the 5 course, now you sit down and decide which one is best for you.
And how much role would human be replaced by? In the sense that पहले होता था वो grazers जाते थे, वहाँ पे देखाया कि हाँ enemies chaps have come in, irregulars have come in, और वो गए नहीं हैं, खोद के बैठ गए हैं, they are not leaving. We depended a lot on human, and even in the desert region, the Khabris along the border, they tell us on the IB. How much will all this replace human intelligence?
See, what you said, this is int surveillance and reconnaissance. Int surveillance and reconnaissance is basically you have to be there in form of satellite, in form of drone, in form of aircraft, or human intelligence on ground. So somebody has to be there. So it has to be either machine or man.
Okay. And
Now,
preferably both together.
Both separately, independently, but what AI does, it takes all the inputs, connects the dot together. It's like a battlefield indicator. Something is happening there, something is happening there. For example, a potential adversary starts suddenly stocking, let's say, the fuel in a particular place, and we know that this place only 10,000 liters are required. Now they are collecting 20,000 liters. Then we know that somewhere else also training which is going on is for the mountains. So the AI, what it does, it connects all this loose information along with the satellite photograph, along with the human intelligence and everything, and then gives you, okay, if this is all is happening, then these are the likely 3 scenarios potential adversary may be looking at.
कि कुछ तो लोचा है. If so many people are collected.
दाल में कुछ काला है.
Let me come back to the Aero India. You and Air Marshal AP Singh flew the LCA, and I'm quoting you. You said, "I wish he had met me earlier. I would have definitely changed the option to the Air Force." Did you really mean that? That it was such a great experience going up in the Tejas?
See, when we were in school, we used to look at all the 3 services, and we used to love all the 3, if I can say that. It just so happened that I came in army. Let me tell about AP first. As far as AP is concerned, from NDA days, is a gold torching. And he is, everybody has a natural liking towards him.
Okay.
He is a man who can collect people together. He is a natural leader. And he takes the ownership in a crowd. But he is a very straightforward man. So I say in the lighter moment, he should have been in infantry. He's so straightforward and such a team bonding man, he should have been in infantry.
Chalo, I hope you're listening, Marshall, to this.
So that is the case that the way he took me around and made me do the loop, which is inverted kind of taking it, and he gave me the joystick and I controlled that. Then he made me do the barrel roll also. So I feel that yes, if AP allows me today, that's also a good option for me.
But my heart was in my mouth when I saw that and when I heard that aap dono chad pade. I said, like, who has cleared this? Why do we have two chiefs in one aircraft and doing all these stuntbazis? I don't know.
There's a reason to it. We both had vice chiefs.
No, sir. It really does frighten me,
No, but sir, like this was like it must have been really a great ride. मतलब आप दोनों.
पहले कभी नहीं हुआ ना?
This was the first time.
Happened in history, but so many things happen in history, like self and Dinesh, class fellow becoming chief.
Yes, that also. I want that story. In the 6th grade, you were together in Sainik school.
From 5th onwards, we are together.
In Sainik.
5th onwards, we are
तो
together.
सोचा था उस वक्त सर कि ये दोनों साथ chiefs होंगे?
हम तो स्कूल से ही आगे नहीं बढ़े थे. हमने तो अफसर बनना भी नहीं सोचा था. ठीक है?
Who was better in? Who got better grades?
See, Dinesh is definitely better in everything. He is tall. And we both were good in maths, if I can say.
But you have come first on the podcast. Dinesh sir, आप देख लीजिए. Sir has beaten you in that.
No, but Dinesh has taken over first. So he is senior to me. So he will decide whenever he wants to come. And he tells me to come here, I have come here.
Okay. अब पता लगा.
How was it like in those days and how is it now, sir? And what has changed, sir?
In front of media, we are up and about. And we have stiff upper lip.
Okay.
But once we are together, then we just hold each other and keep talking to each other like school days.
How much is this personal camaraderie very important, especially in tense situations, you know? If I was to go back, if you had a general not getting along with the commander of... I don't want to name, but there were times like in the 71 war, ego battles hoti thi. But if the three chiefs and the CDS have a good personal rapport, how important is that?
आप इतिहास खोल के देख लीजिए. Negotiations have always been successful if two people knew each other or knew about each other's personality. So what it means, if two rigid people are talking to each other, then you don't expect an outcome.
Yeah.
But here what is there that when we three are sitting together, Chiefs of Staff Committee also, we can have any kind of a discussion, it just doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
Because our personal rapport is so good with each other that the professional differences, even if they are there, we are ready to accommodate because we all are progressive by nature. We want jointness and integration to come.
Okay.
So even if says, okay, you take a step back here, I take a step back, it's acceptable.
Okay.
So moment you are ready to negotiate, because negotiation, the principle is it should be win-win situation for all.
Okay.
But if you're rigid, then it's a win situation for you and loss situation for others. That is the difference. So here we all three look at, we three must be winners towards the end.
Right. And
Sir, any examples you can give where your friendships, because right now we have 2 classmates and 2 course mates as 3 chiefs. So
point.
How has it helped?
So did you ever think that as an army chief I'll accept ADC from the other service?
Oh.
Because he'll be privy to my conversation when I'm talking about the other 2 services. But today all the 3 service chiefs have accepted and the 3 ADCs have been selected, and within 15 days you will find that they will be reporting to each other.
So you're getting an ADC from Air Force, sir?
I'm getting from Air Force. AP has already made me meet him. And from my side, there's 11 guards officer who is going to Dinesh, and Dinesh is sending to the Air Force.
That's nice. That's absolutely. We were talking about movies. Do you 3 chiefs discuss films की ये वाली पिक्चर जो थी क्या दिखा रहे थे? Army officers ऐसे थोड़ा ना करते हैं, फौजी ऐसे थोड़ा ना करता है. Do you really talk about these kind of things? Do you laugh at it?
As of now, I think the 3 chiefs do not have time to watch movies. So that we may not be able to speak out. But definitely we talk about that how our aura should be there, what should be the protocols in terms of our soldiers, our jawans, how should they behave, and these things we keep talking about. Because you'll find we are the forces all over the world trusted most, respected most. So we must stand up to the expectations of the entire environment.
Okay.
So
is there any concern at all about the quality of people wanting to join the services? Is it still, फौजी families के बच्चे फौजी families में फौज में जाते हैं कि नहीं? There's this whole thing that it's not really happening, and especially in Punjab, which was considered at one point of time sword arm of India. Kids are preferring to go abroad, study abroad or work abroad. Is it still, does the Fauj still have that aura which it used to have?
Two things, officers and if I can say that PBUR, person below officer rank. As far as officers are concerned, you will find that we are getting from all quarters. We are getting from Kanyakumari also, we are getting from Kashmir also, we are getting from Kibitu also, we are getting from Bhuj also, everywhere. So that's not an issue at all. But within that also, the intake you will find that the officers' children may be approximately, let's say, between 5 to 10%. But the JCUs who are children who are coming are approximately 35 to 50%. That is the kind of intake.
That has not changed. There's no dip.
No, it's not dip. Means what I am saying that in the complete, if 100 people are getting selected in a year, you will find 35 to 50% are the JCUs who are children. Because they have seen their life. They are understanding what their aspirations are there to join. As for the officers' children are concerned, the number is very small because the officers themselves are very less in number. So definitely that is also there.
And in Agniveer scheme, are you finding more participation? Because initially there was so much of resistance. Are you finding recruits coming in? Because they've now, I think 1 year now they've joined since this summer will be, the second year, since they've been inducted now. Are you finding that whatever misconceptions that people had, that's been dispelled? Do you find that?
As far as Agniveers are concerned, they are coming in adequate number. Okay. That's not a problem at all. What we have to see, initially the number was much more. Why? Because there was a gap for 2 years.
Yeah.
So what we had done, we had enhanced the age profile also by 2 years. So everybody got packed up in that. So that 40,000 what we wanted to induct in Indian Army, the number was very high. After that, since those 2 years embargo has been removed and some people who have got overage, they have also moved out. So as a result, 3 to 4 years gap has again got created in the sense those people have moved out of the system. So it has come to a particular level, it will continue. So it meets our aspiration. That's not an issue at all.
Like the Agniveers who are coming in, they are now training, they have already started going to units and doing everything what they are supposed to. How has their performance been, sir, like in the last 2 years?
And their integration with the others?
Yeah.
See, as far as the integration part, if I take it, there's no difference at all. Because Agniveer, he may be for outsiders, but inside he is just number so and so, Jawan so and so, wahi chal raha hai.
Because when you were flying in the LCA, sir, in that 18th Squadron board, I saw that there were 3 Agniveers mentioned by the Air Force, and they were being praised for something, and like it was not part of the coverage, but it was there. So I saw that.
You're absolutely right. The crew which was there, approximately 5 to 7, which is reading the aircraft, out of which 3 were Agniveer. So when I shook hand with them also, and they were quite proud of it, what the job they were doing. Same is the case in the unit. In the unit, there is no difference at all. Let me take a case of an officer. How much training does he do? As for the weapons is concerned. He does it for, let's say, 30 days, 45 days. Thereafter, he goes to the unit. But he's also carrying carbine, he's also carrying pistol, he's also carrying everything. So as far as the training part is concerned, earlier, if I can say that the training part was much more because you thought that they require more training. But now once you're given the less training, if I can say that less training in the sense that compacted the training in the lesser time frame and you said balanced training you will do in the unit. They found it's workable. So apprehensions which were there have been belied as of today.
Right. On the budget, sir, 6.81 lakh crore is what Nirmala ji has allocated for you. That's 13% of the budget. Are you happy, not too happy, want more? What would you have wanted?
2,07,000 crore is something which is in the revenue part. Now, if you remove the salary part, which is approximately 1.47 lakh, there is a 20% jump in my non-salary revenue.
Okay.
What it means that, let's say in case of other two services platforms, they lead to maximum capital acquisition. That's why you'll find that capital acquisition is much more. In case of army, my platform is my soldier itself. When we talk about F in SAS or Karna Kavach, when I want my soldier to be a smart soldier, it's a platform. So starting from a soldier as a platform and then going to a tank or to the Hapter, all these platforms which are there, if they have to be maintained, how will they get maintained? Because in my case, both borders are active. Every equipment which is being there is being exploited. So to maintain that, I need revenue. For infrastructure development from OpWorks, I need revenue. So this has been understood by the Finance Ministry. Therefore, there's a 20% jump. So whatever we desired, it is there.
Okay.
As far as the capital side is concerned, it is dependent on what is the carryover liability. So whatever gets sanctioned this year in terms of acquisition, that will be paid over a period of 5 to 6 years. So we know that, okay, this year I have to pay this much of money. And never Ministry of Defence has said no to it. Whatever the carryover liability, we get it. So
if she was to give you a blank check, what are the 3 areas that you would first modernize?
The first thing which I will do is the infrastructure development.
Okay.
That is something which is most important for me. And second thing is the technological absorption and modernization.
Okay.
This is something which I have to do.
Okay.
And third is, the most important thing is the upliftment of the human resource. Because the human resource has to get a major upgrade to absorb this technology.
Sir, when you say infrastructure development, do you mean infrastructure development in along the LAC, LOC, all these areas? Because
it's for everything. I'll give you example. There is a building which is standing from, let's say, 1965 or 73. What will be the status of this building in 2025? Definitely it requires a major repair. So when a battalion moves from the most difficult areas to peace station, and there also he is going to live in a building which is actually in difficult conditions, then you require upliftment of that also. A soldier comes for 2.5 years. After 3 years deployment in field, he needs to stay with the family, his family. And this family is only for 25% of the soldiers or 100% of soldiers. So again, you require accommodation for that. Now, this is as the peacetime is concerned. You require infrastructure for the training. You require infrastructure for the firing ranges. Now, coming on to the forward infrastructure, you're well aware of. Why? Because when the roads and tracks are made, it helps the local population also, it helps the military also. When you make the helipads, the tourism also comes there, military also uses it. When you have the communication infrastructure, it is again for the local population, for the tourism, for the development, for the civil administration, as also for the military. When you have the power sector coming in there, then the light is everywhere. It is to be exploited by everyone. So it is both sides.
When you spoke about human resource, once you said that you want women soldiers to be like Goddess Kali on the... What exactly did you mean on that?
So, बुंदेले हरबोलों के मुख हमने सुनी कहानी थी
खूब लड़ी
मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी ठीक है and I am from Jammu and Kashmir Rifle and we believe in Durga Mata ठीक है
Okay.
So now if you take your flag, what is the topmost color? Is a saffron color. Now I lift this Ashok Chakra and put it on that. Now what is it talking about? It's talking about the strength, courage, sacrifice, progressive, transformation, be part of change. That's what is Kali Mata all about. Means any person who comes, he comes as a manager level. Now I have to convert that into a leader. And leader has to have these qualities which I have told you. That's what it's all about.
Nice. I just wanted to know what exactly you meant when you said that.
And multitasking. Women are better multitasker than the men.
Okay.
That's what I have been told.
Compliment accepted.
But sir, how has your experience been, sir? Because you had given the example of that lady officer who was in charge of the Umlingla road.
Poning doming.
Yeah. So how has your experience been?
See, if I say that amongst the male also, among the female also, you will find all kinds of officers. And among the male also, you will find very rigid officer, just following the rules. They don't understand the shades of grey. They only look at umbra, they don't look at penumbra. So, it is important for you, see, Indians are different. And Holiness Dalai Lama has also said that the Orientals always understand the definition of grey zone. Everything is not black and white. If you see, we believe in body language. We believe in unspoken language. We believe in if you have not spoken, then also we have spoken. So that is the kind of understanding we need to have. So when I talk about Poning Doming, she is the most vibrant, and this time she's got a Sena medal also. And she was omnipresent during whenever I visited or when anyone else also visited. So she was leading from the front. Now I'll give you another example what the General Puri has said. There was an education officer with me when I was the army commander, and one of my course mates, Rasina, gave me excellent feedback about her. She's the best staff officer. So I gave her a few tasking, and she was up and about, but she was black and white. But by the time she left, she said, "Sir, now I have understood that whenever you used to tell me something and I used to give you reply, you used to say, beta, ye bhi dekh lo, ye bhi dekh lo, ye bhi dekh lo," because nudging, cajoling or leading through the path is responsibility of a leader. So convert from black and white to this kind of a wider perspective is responsibility of the leader. And that is where people like me have to play a role.
Amazing. So pay scales, I want to talk about that. Young students who will, thinking of joining the NDA, thinking of joining the IMA, wanting to be part of the military, can they be assured that the pay scales in the military is comparable to the private sector?
I'll take you back when the last time the pay scale was announced. That time, if I remember correctly, before that, about 6 months before that, many people had put up for PMR because the pay scales were not comparable. After that, what happened? Once people got the idea that this is what they are going to get, there was an en masse cancellation of premature retirement.
8th pay commission.
The
previous one. En masse cancellation of premature retirement. And for next 1.5 to 2 years, 3 years, nobody was going out. So what happens when the new pay scale comes, you will find that the automatic correction is done in comparison to the society. As far as the pay scale is concerned. Now I'll take you ahead as far as the X factor is concerned.
Okay.
I always talk about the X factor, and I remember giving a talk to the IIT Kanpur students why a soldier walks into the hail of bullets. And this is what is the X factor all about. So any pay commission, when it comes up, we always request that pay commission, please take care of the X factor, because that soldier voluntarily walks through the hail of bullets. And that is what, till the time you have agreed and understood, and you give him some kind of a compensation. It's not a compensation. It is the national the recognition of the nation towards the sacrifice of the soldier, which is ready to do from day one.
That his family will be taken care of when he walks into that hail of bullets. वो burden नहीं है to think कि मेरे बाद क्या होगा.
वो भी है, and when he's alive also, to keep him motivated. Look, we recognize your services. That's why this X factor is always given to you.
Sir, infrastructure development, I wanted to ask you, sir, about this. You were there for almost around 3 years in Northern Command, sir.
2 years.
2 years. Sir, when earlier I used to visit Ladakh, it was a long drive from Leh to Chushul and other areas. But now it has reduced, and a lot of infrastructure development. The army camps never end in between, sir, now in last 4 or 5 years. So, sir, in this area, we have now the Umlingla Pass. A lot of roads have been built in recent past, connecting all the vital points, areas, wherever, all are areas of interest. You think more infrastructure development is required in this area? also in the Arunachal sector? And sir, what are we doing about it, sir?
So it's a good question because my aspirations are very high. Though you have told me that, okay, this kind of a road has come up. But my aspirations are very high. For example, that today in a year I can construct 1,000 kilometers of road. But my aspirations are 2,500 to 3,500 kilometers of road. Let's say a tunnel takes about 7 to 10 years to get made. As far as my aspiration is concerned, no, within 4 years it should be ready. So, is the present setup ready to do it? The problem today we are facing this, that any construction which takes place along the northern front, it's seasonal in nature. Because of the snow, because of the factors, you'll always find that the time is limited.
So about 4 months is the construction period, I'm presuming.
4 to 6 months depending on what is the condition, working condition.
Right.
At times if you're lucky, if the snow is late, you go till November end also.
Okay.
But if you have to push through this, then the pass is open somewhere in May, July, depending, May plus minus depending on the situation.
But the enemy is also using that period only to build.
See, other side, if you have to see, it's a plateau.
Huh.
If other side it's a plateau, then how much rainfall is he getting? How much snow is he getting? Is it a dry area or it's a wet area?
Huh.
So if we see all this, definitely they have a better facility or better terrain conditions to construct the infrastructure.
Okay. Yeah, that's a
Now if you take Arunachal Pradesh side also, all the places you will find maximum rains take place. So you will again find that the route through which this equipment has to be taken up is through the rain infested area. When you go up, it is a snow infested area. So the challenges are much more. Therefore, you need big time players who are ready to invest money and come for this. But the best what is happening today, ECBI, Empowered Committee on the Border Infrastructure, which is under the CAPSEC, I will call it, it's a big boon. And let me tell you, there is another kind of a committee which is headed by Raksha Mantri ji, where the group of ministers are there to kind of monitor this progress. These two committees are working overtime to make sure there's no let up in infrastructure development. So money wise, there's no problem at all. Now what is there? Who all are ready to come up and make it? So we are going back to NHAI, we are going to even the railways company which are there, because all these companies have all the capability to construct tunnels, make roads and everything. So we are going to them, and hopefully from 2025 onwards, these companies will also come forward, because we'll give them a big target and a big kind of a contract. They will come forward.
So, military writers often write about how the Indian Army is pulled in for civilian strife whenever there is, or in cases of emergency, and that takes away from their primary work. In fact, even now, when the stampede happened in Prayagraj, not just reporters who were writing, but even common people were saying, "Army ko de do," not realizing it is army land anyway, and the bridges and all that they were constructing, but still the faith in the army is so much that in times of calamities and strife, the fallback is कि उनको बोलो कि करेंगे ठीक. It takes away from, but there's no denying that it takes away from your primary tasks. That's one thing that I want to ask you. And the second one, which is related, is that is there stress then on the equipment that you have? Because whatever you have is getting used in this too, for civilian, to control civilian strife.
So I'll take your mind back to earlier days. The cantonments used to be isolated areas.
Yeah.
Why? Because they didn't want, or the people who were heading those armies at that point of pre-independence, when the cantonments came up, they never wanted the army to interact with the local population. Over a period of time, we have to see that whose army is it? It's India's army. What is the role of India's army? India's army's role is part of the Viksit Bharat. So if it is that, if it has to become a $30 trillion economy, and you need the human development index to go high, you want infrastructure development to take place, and if you want environment conservation or sustainability which is there, and so on and so forth, all these, and of course secure environment, Indian army has to play a role everywhere. It has to play a role everywhere. Now if a stampede is taking place, as far as my orders are concerned, you will not wait for whether people are calling you or not. The nearest unit will move immediately and start helping. Along the northern front, I have said, 100 kilometers along the border, you will immediately react. because you'll find that the distances are much more. The civil administration not able to take stock before calling you, but you're already there. Which is the force which is forward located in such remote areas? It's Indian Army. So as far as I am concerned, you're free to do that. So as far as I am concerned, nation building is our equal responsibility. And I keep giving the example of Mission Olympic 2036.
Okay.
Mission Olympic 2036, Indian Army can play a very, very important role. The National Games took place recently. Which is the setup which won maximum medals? It is Sports Services Control Board. 68 gold medals, total 121. What it means that if we start today, this I have discussed with who's who of India. I'll leave it at that. Today, if we start, Indian Army has adequate space for any sports infrastructure which is required to come up. We give you a guarantee that infrastructure we will maintain, sustain for 2036 and will continue to improve. Second thing is, we have boys companies and girls companies. You have seen that the Indian Army soldiers have won so many medals that you're already aware.
Neeraj Chopra is...
Everyone, for that matter, Rajvardhan Singh Rathore, Vijay, Neeraj Chopra, so many are there. So we assure you that we will be part of the journey towards the medal. Now, third thing is, when you have to conduct something like Mission Olympic 2036, where do you get the manpower from? We have the resources. We will give those resources. We will also raise the territorial army battalions to conduct those. But for that, we have to sit together and plan today.
Yes.
If we sit together and plan today, everything of Indian Army, all these resources are there for Mission Olympic 2036. Because for that, I have to rehearse in 2028. For 2032 Olympics, I have to send the observers, learn there, do everything, and thereafter come and implement in 2036.
So man and woman in uniform, man and woman in civilian outfits work together for these kind of missions, you say?
They work in every mission. Today, let's say if it's a cyber, for the cyber warfare, you will find uniform people would be less and civilian people would be much more. Space, it's ISRO. Total civil. Similarly, like I told you about the citizen warrior.
Yeah.
Who are the citizen warrior? आप पंजाब में जाइए, जो खेत का फार्मर है, जो आपको जगह देता है, बोलता मैंने उत्थे देखा था, टैंक उत्थे खड़ा था, उसका दुश्मन था. वो कौन है? सिविलियन है. सो जवान और किसान का जो रिश्ता है, वो अभी जवान का और पूरे भारत के सिटीजन्स का बन गया है.
There is also a picture of yours in the Mahakal temple, sir, with the Raksha Mantri. And there were a lot of negative comments about it, that why is the army chief doing this, secular army and all that. So what's your take on that, sir?
See, if army chief is religious, I am very religious. What is my religion? I am multi-religious. I have got commissioned into 18th Battalion, the Jammu and Kashmir Rifles, where you have Masjid, Gurdwara, Durga Mata and Mahakal, all under one roof. All under one roof. My Subhida Major, who may be a Maulvi, is able to do Durga Mata ki puja, not an issue at all. Now if you see, have I visited any mashhoor place, Golden Temple or Mahakal or Vaishno Devi, in beginning stages, initial stages? No. The first thing which I went was to my unit, Bhakti Dham. And once I got the blessings there, from my Maulvi, my Pandit, my Granthi. Thereafter I started going to all the places. When you see, I took the first review of Guard. I was presented by 5 the religious teachers, a complete bouquet of all the books which are there, all the religious books inside a box. So as far as I am concerned, I am multi-religious. Now the second issue is, whenever you start a convoy, सबसे पहले आप क्या करते हैं? आप मंदिर से सिर पे अपना उठाते हैं गीता को या दुर्गे माता की या कुरान शरीफ को या गुरु ग्रंथ को और उसको गाड़ी में रखते हैं. कौन रखता है? द कमांडिंग ऑफिसर ऑलवेज, विच इज द फर्स्ट व्हीकल विच मूव्स, भक्ति धाम. सो अ सोल्जर इज द मोस्ट रिलीजियस. जब आप लड़ाई के लिए जाते हैं तो आप क्या करते हैं? हवन होता है. अब जब साल के शुरू में एवरी ईयर आई डू अ हवन फॉर विच एवर आउटफिट आई एम कमांडिंग. सो व्हेन रक्षा मंत्री जी सेज, क्या आप तीनों सेनाओं की कुशल मंगल के लिए मेरे साथ महाकाल चलेंगे? मैं बोला सर जहाँ भी ले जाएंगे वहाँ चलेंगे. जब तक मेरी सेना के लिए मुझे प्रार्थना करनी है, मैं कहीं भी जाने को तैयार हूँ.
So why did you join the army? What motivated you and why? Why did you take the decision?
I think I wanted to do something different, and जो द माहौल जो मेरे घर में था, आई रिमेंबर माई अंकल व्हेन यूज्ड टू आस्क हिम कि भाई लिखने के लिए कॉपी लानी है, तो द कॉपी विच यूज्ड टू ब्रिंग यूज्ड टू हैव अ सोल्जर्स फोटो.
Okay.
And my father used to always give me the स्वतंत्रता सेनानी की कहानियाँ और World War II का Sir Veer von Vera who escaped as a pilot, I remember. So all these stories I used to keep reading. And my one brother was doctor, so I said no, this closed. Second brother was engineer, I said this is closed.
Okay.
So third was army, which was there. I wanted to become an intelligence officer, if I can say that. But when I went to school and saw everything, then I said, okay, let me join army first, thereafter look at intelligence.
Nice, interesting.
And sir, can you please tell us your journey, from joining the army till here, like becoming a 4-star? I think everybody who joins the army as a young cadet in the NDA, they all have ambitions, aspirations. If you can recall your journey to this point.
Yeah, as a lieutenant, second lieutenant, did you think कि मैं chief बनूंगा कभी?
Actually, if you ask me, I never looked at those things. And the 3 words which I propagate in the Indian Army is attitude, adaptability and ability. So what it means, you must have a positive attitude. You should be able to adapt to the situation which is there. And then comes the ability, because then only you can execute the task. But are you executing the right task? Are you executing the right time which is required? So these two become important. So as far as my aspiration is concerned, when we were in school, actually we were not looking at anything. We were just wanting to enjoy. Sports है तो sports में चले जाते थे, पढ़ाई है तो पढ़ाई में लग जाते थे. But when we joined NDA, then we became slightly serious because of the getting a kind of a overall conduct that how it is there, and our DSs used to tell us how it should be. When we became officer, I never looked at these things at all. But yes, at the level of captain or major, one aspiration which I had, that if I become commanding officer, this is the direction I will take my unit to. If I become commanding officer. And when I became commanding officer, I did those things. But beyond that, I don't think I had any aspiration to become chief. But whatever task was given, I was very clear that this is what I must do. Whatever task was not given, I had to look at, okay, this should be done this way. And I had the confidence of my superiors that I could walk up to them and say, look, this is something we need to work on. And they were gracious enough to accept my suggestions and say, okay, this you do, this I will do. So a teamwork, which I can say that something moved me through.